What's up, guys? We are back for another Mythic Legions Advent of Decay review. Today we're taking a look at Balam. This is the tiger dude in the line, one that I'm very much interested in tearing into. We've got him there in the standard Mythic Legions packaging. You can see him in the big window. We've got a bio for this dude on the side, and then the back has that same artwork that we've seen throughout, as well as a write-up of the backstory. So let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. Alright guys, here he is, our Balam figure out of the package. This is one that I really wanted to take a look at because I'm a big fan of the, animal warriors in the Mythic Legions line. I really like the idea of, a big cat man with a suit of armor. Something about that really does it for me. And a quick public service announcement for anyone interested. I'll put some links down below as usual, but you can still pre-order these guys on Big Bad Toy Store if you missed out on the Kickstarter or any of the Horsemen's original pre-orders. So of course, let's get started. We're going to take a look at articulation. He moves around, basically how you would expect, save for one little difference. So let's start at the head as usual, swivel around, up a little bit, down, and then bobble side to side. Arms go all the way out, swivel around. We've got rotation in the elbow with single jointed hinge. We've got rotation at the gauntlet, rotation at the wrist, and a hinge. We've got a waist twist. He goes back and forth a little bit, and then side to side just a little bit, but mostly just a twist. Legs go all the way out. Kick forward, kick back. You got a thigh cut in there, single jointed knee, rotation in there as well. We've got rotation to the ankle, a rocker, and then we've got a hinge. Now the difference for this figure is that because he has a tail, it moves, and it's just a ball peg with a socket, so he can swivel around a little bit, and then it hinges back and forth just a little bit, just inside that socket. So it doesn't have tons of movement, but you can use it to add a little bit of character to this guy. Now when it comes to the looks on this guy, there is a lot to love. Not only does he have a big Jaguar-style head, because that is, as best I can tell, what he's really supposed to be based on the markings on the tail and the back of the head, but he has a fantastically painted suit of armor. I really like this particular suit of armor. I really like the design behind it, and I particularly love the color scheme they picked for this guy. It somehow fits, but also kind of clashes with the orange fur that he has, but I really like everything about him from the neck down. I'm a really big fan of this particular style of armor. I really do like the gold and turquoise inlay that they did on this armor. It really kind of just gives it a little bit of oomph when you're looking at it, not to mention the fact that the color scheme in general, the kind of gunmetal-y almost, has a nice hint of blue and purple in there, so depending on how the light hits it, it shimmers just enough to kind of give you a hint that there's something more into this armor, and I really, really like it. Everything here is sculpted expertly well. We've seen a lot of these parts before. Plenty of other figures share this particular setup, whether they have the entire body or just specific parts. Like, for example, Brother Mandibulus has one of these arms, Keltis has this chest, Keltis has these lower legs, things like that. But this guy has a complete set of armor, and it flows very well. Tons of paint apps, tons of great work here. My only real gripe on this guy is that I do have a little bit of slop here on the chest. It's nothing major. I believe I should be able to get that off relatively easily, but I got to point it out, and it's honestly been a pretty uncommon thing with these figures, so it was bound to happen sooner or later, and it finally did. Of course, he does have the tail. I mentioned that it is just pegged in there with a ball, and it's, it's pretty long. It runs down almost to the floor from his butt there, and you've got the rosettes, which is the tip-off that this is kind of a Jaguar guy, because that's their patterning, is the rosette pattern. It's got some sculpted kind of fur detail in it as well, and then we've got the black tip at the end. So I like the fact that he has the tail. I don't think it's necessary, but I do like the fact that he has it. It adds a little more credence to the fact that he is, kind of a full-on cat man, and he just doesn't have a cat head only. And speaking of, we do of course have to zoom in on this head, because I do think, outside of the fact that I really, really like the suit of armor, the head is obviously the big draw here when you're first looking at this guy, because hey, he's a knight with a cat's head on it. And you can see more of those rosette patterns on the back, which again tips me off to the fact that he's not a tiger, he is a jaguar, which is perfectly fine. I don't really care, it's just something to note. I do think that he is painted very, very well. He's got a lot of wash in there to make him look kind of muddied and dirty. We got the, spots for where the whiskers would be on the face, and the eyes have a nice little shimmer to them, so they kind of follow you around if the light hits them just right, which I really, really like. There is a lot of sculpted detail in terms of kind of fur lining in there, which looks really nice as well. Kind of gets brought out by that wash. So, another good head from the Forceman, and I really don't have anything to complain about with this one. Big fan of the big cat type characters. I'm a big Thundercats fan, so this is definitely something that is right up my alley. Now, as far as accessories goes, there is a lot going on with this figure, not just because he comes with 3 solid weapons, but because he comes with enough stuff to make him into an entirely different character. And that's where I'm going to start. So we've got him here with the pauldrons on. These very much add another layer of depth to this figure, makes him look even more beefy, more hulking, more intimidating. It has more of that same turquoise and gold inlay on there. So, you know, I'm a big fan of the pauldrons, so I pretty much always use them. But he comes with a separate head. He comes with the Knight's Bucket style head. And it's done up with the same color scheme. It's just got the gold paint on it. There's no turquoise on the head itself until you get to the big coif that comes out of it. And this thing can move, so you can kind of, you know, make it look like it's blowing in the wind, or you could pull it out if you want, but then he has a big hole in his head. So it kind of ties everything together, but he looks like an entirely different character. Of course, you know, you could take the tail out if you wanted to make him look even less cat-like and just make him be a generic knight with a fantastic set of armor. This is the kind of figure that makes me regret not buying multiples of some of these guys, because I'd love to have just this guy and the tiger guy, or jaguar guy rather, at the same time. Now, as far as weapons go, he comes with this big staff. We've seen this before, and I really like the design of this staff. It's so big, it's just massive. It's a head taller than he is. It's kind of done up in the same color scheme, the gold and the turquoise. So we got that guy. We've got a standard style sword here for him. It's got some real kind of grit and dirt on the handle, but it's again done up in his color scheme, so I'm a big fan of this. If you don't get it by now, I dig the gold and the turquoise. It works really well with this figure. And then the last one, we've got this kind of curved style blade, and this is another instance where I've got a bit of a QC issue because, you know, these accessories are packaged in baggies that are inside the box, and this one was packaged in such a way that it kind of bent the tip of this blade, and as such, it eventually just chipped right off. It was so flimsy that I just had to knock it off. It's not a huge deal, but you know, it is a bit of a bummer, because this is my preferred weapon for this guy, of course. The one that I like the most is the one that would break, but it's got this really cool curved blade, and then of course we've got the gold handle down there. He does, as usual, come with the sheath that you can put on his shoulder or his waist, and all the back adapters and all that good stuff. So he comes with a lot of cool accessories, and of course you can make him into an entirely different figure character, which is always a huge plus with this line. So overall, if you couldn't tell by now, I'm a big fan of this figure. I like the cat idea behind him. I also like the fact that you can change him into an entirely different, just generic knight that happens to have a fantastically adorned set of armor. He comes with fantastic weapons, and I just like the idea behind this whole color scheme, this set of armor, the works. My only real gripes with this guy are that, well, I don't have 2 of him, so I can kind of have both variations all at once, and that I do have a few little QC issues with the paint slop, and then I do have that chipped weapon, which is unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. This guy still looks fantastic no matter how you have him decked out. So that's going to do it for this look at the Mythic Legion's Advent of Decay Balaam figure from 4 Horsemen. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.